Peace, family. We should be live right now. We should be live. Let me move the mic closer to me. What's going on with everybody in the chat? Wow, we got a great show tonight. Dr. B had us on for about 2.5 hours last night, family, and we right back at it again.
Yep.
About to bring this brother on. So let me just tell y'all how's it going down tonight. BDell will be doing part 1 of the movie breakdown. Then we got KT the Arts Degree coming in for part 2. So BDell's gonna rock for about an hour or so. Then KT's gonna come and finish it off. So I'm about to bring the brother on. I want y'all to get comfortable. We're gonna get to a few commercials and we will be right back and get started right away, y'all.
It's the numerational session with King Simon. Text your full name and date of birth to 347-496-1022. That's 347-496-1022. And get my books on Amazon now.
Body's been awoken, the prophecy is spoken. The God of me was frozen till you conjured and evoked it. Of all the father's progeny, a spotter that was chosen, a prophet that was sculpted with incomparable components for accomplishing a motive. Dominate opponents, conquer every obstacle like Romulus the Roman. Following the omen, repeat the Lord's prayer like a mantra or a slogan. The apocalypse approaching. Life got darker than a gothic for a moment. All 7 of my chakras was the opposite of open. The part of my conscience that kept me positive was broken. It's a product of the Sodom I was grown in. Nirvana's in the hoping. I'm naked like a toddler in the ocean. I was trying to get $1, so I dove in. It's not enough to float with, but even if I had $1 million worth, I would still wallow in emotion. I'm that kid father didn't notice. Confidence was stolen. I'm the victim, the accomplice, and the culprit of my own sin. Just a zombie that my trauma is controlling. And it's deep psychological hypnosis. Every time I fall, I get.
All right. And without further ado, welcome back to the platform, my brother BDell. Welcome back, brother.
What's up, brother? Back in the MSG, Madison Square Garden of the Consciousness.
Yes, I appreciate you giving that name, man. I try to live up. I don't try. I'm living up to that name, man. Right. I got the heavy hitters on here. I got you on here. Powerful. Once again, family, welcome to the show. Well, I'm gonna tell you all about New York a little later on. We got a lot of things going on in New York. What you thought about that Cambada track, BDell? That joint, that
yeah,
snippet.
I like that, man. That it's got a real mystic type of beat to it. It's like it's dark. And it's got that energy to it, so I mess with it.
Yeah, he spit some pain on that. He said, "I'm just a zombie that my trauma is controlling."
Right.
That boy got bars there, man. I
need to make a video for that.
Yeah, he was talking about his childhood and shit, man. So it was some deep shit, man. Listen, let's get started. BDell, man, you do your thing when it comes to the decoding. I think how old are you now, brother? I don't mean to ask you. How old are you now, brother?
I'm 31.
Brother, like young brother doing his thing, man. You definitely one of the sharpest brothers out there on the internet right now, brother. Just want to tell you, keep up the good work, brother. You're doing an amazing job.
I appreciate it.
So this movie, I first heard about this movie from a post you put up on Instagram. And you put up a post on Instagram and you was talking about the predictive programming and you was talking about the draconians, I believe, and just different things related to this movie. And I said, I gotta get this brother on this breakdown, as well as KT. KT told me about the movie the next day, and I was like, damn, I gotta get both of these brothers on the breakdown. So just to start out with, brother, with this movie, because one of the themes I'm hearing everywhere, all over the internet, black, white, whoever, everybody say this movie's predictive program. This is predictive programming. Now, in terms of this movie, this is what I want to ask you, BDell. Do you think now the Obamas produced it?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think this movie, can it be predictive program, but can it also be, BDell? Now, I was taught by the elders that when they want to do some shit and they don't want karma to hit them, they got to tell you first. So is it a way they're going to do the shit regardless because they have the capability of doing it, but they don't want the karma of what they're about to do to hit them that hard. So they're putting the movie out there. Do you think it could be that instead of predictive program or something else? What's your thoughts on comparing those two, getting rid of your karma versus predictive programming, BDell?
It's definitely predictive programming because they adhere to the occultic law, which is the threefold law. Mm-hmm. So they get consent for us by putting this stuff in the form of psychological operations, and they put it in the form of entertainment. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things where you got to understand that the CIA has an office in Hollywood and Hollywood has an office in the CIA. So a lot of this stuff that's taking place in these movies actually has to play a part of the timeline of eschatology, which is basically the science of the end times. So when you understand the movie is really just based on destabilization, isolation, and the precursor to that is self-preservation, which is the first rule of nature. So it comes down to the fact that it can spark a civil war. And there's a movie that's connected to Leave the World Behind, and it's coming out on April 24th of 2024. 2024 of this year. So it's actually talking about a civil war in the midst of the planet going through a chaotic energy. But when it comes to the plutocracy and these oligarchs and these elites or the deep state shadow government, whatever you want to call them, most of the time when they want to, have a certain agenda they want to propagate, they have to give you the truth in the movies. Mm-hmm. So that's basically the diametrical differences of predicting programming and, to basically reset their karma.
Indeed. So what can you tell us about this movie? Why do you think it's standard? Is it just another end of the world end of the world, the world's about to end movie, fear-based movie? Do you think this one is different? What stood out about this movie in particular to make it so popular, brother, while you was watching it?
Well, when I watch a lot of movies and I do a lot of decodings, way before, I started getting on the internet, but I felt like this movie had a different energy. It was really just giving you the propagation of many different afflictions that's going to be taking place when you're talking about this 7-year tribulation period that we're living in, because this movie is actually setting the tone and the frequency for what is to come in the future, because it's actually an emulation of what's taking place as far as like geopolitical issues. I remember you had the World Economic Forum. They said it was inevitable that there's going to be a cyber attack on United States soil. And they said that 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. And then you also have the influx of war and rumors of war when you're talking about Iran and China, because the United States military, we killed off Soleimani, who is Iran's war general. And just like in the movie, there was a drone in the movie and they was putting out these red pieces of paper talking about death to America. And that's the same phrase that they were saying, that Iran was saying when we killed off their war general. So a lot of stuff that's taking place in the movie is actually an emulation that's taking place in real time. Then you just had in Sri Lanka, you just had a power outage. And then just like in the movie, the Tesla cars, Tesla today just had a recall of 2 million cars.
Yeah.
Autopilot malfunction. And then you just had a massive solar flare hit like 3 hours ago. It was a monster X-class solar flare. So we're going to get into that when you're talking about X-class solar flares and DNA activation. And you also had in the movie, it was when you look at the cover of the movie, right? Yeah. The cover of the movie is basically showing you it's a metaphysical codex. It's a codex that reads Baal when you look at the title, BDell. And when you understand the 1180 strong concordance of Yahweh, it translates to Baal, who was Baal, who was Moloch, who was Enlil, who is basically the same entity. So when you go all the way back to Babylonian worship, when you're talking about the deep state shadow government took a Baal, it's basically the same thing. So they have to show their veneration and credence to their God in a form of a sacrifice. So that kind of goes into the fact when you're talking about the de facto corporation in itself. And then you also got to understand this also plays a part of the economical issue when you're talking about the money system, the crypto control system, trying to implement. Because when you go all the way back to the 1928 Great Depression, during that time period, that's when the stock market crashed. And then the precursor to that is when they transmuted the money system by giving us social security cards and made us humanoid real estate. So in order to suspend the debt in current day time, they have to kill off a lot of people because we have social security numbers, which is a community uniform security identification procedure. So it connects you right back to the system. So we're actually currency to the system. And so in order to suspend the debt of the $33 trillion of the international banking system, they have to basically shut down the grid system to where people actually kill themselves off in the name of a civil war, or those things where you have these nanobots and these nanotechnologies within your molecular structure that connects you to the grid system that can basically shut down your anatomy. Because we all know that technology basically puts an encryption on the anatomy. So everything is connected to the Metatronic overlay is basically connected to the symbology of patriarchy. And patriarchy is a representation of the moon energy. So it's one of those things where it can be one thing I know that the plutocracy does. They like to align psychological operations along with celestial events to hide the fact that we're going through a great awakening process and we're going through a great reset. So that's why a lot of people don't know if it's going to be a CME that'll knock out the grid, or it's going to be a EMP that's going to knock out the grid. That's the diametrical difference, because the EMP is an electromagnetic pulse deficiency that can be propagated by the military, or it can be a CME, a coronal mass ejection, that can knock out the power grid and put the planet in a state of destabilization. So, but like I said, the main key points of the movie is based on destabilization, isolation, and then the precursor to that is self-preservation. And that self-preservation in itself is where people are going to galvanize their resources in order to maintain survival. And see, this movie is everything that's built around this movie. You're talking about the movie industry, the music industry, everything is basically a segue up to this movie, which means that it's basically the final warning. You just, P. Diddy, he put out his album, and guess what it was called? It was called Off the Grid. You know what I'm saying? Then he was propagating the red energy. The red energy is a satanic energy, right? Which goes all the way back to the color spectrum of purple and red of Babylonian worship. So it ties into that because democracy in itself is connected to the veneration of the Babylonian principles. So that's why I said like Baal and Moloch is connected to this whole movie when you look at the title.
Yeah, wow. Very, very interesting. One thing you said, I thought you said patriarchy is tied to the moon. I thought the moon was tied to the divine feminine and the female with the woman's cycle, and I thought that was a
no. I'm saying that it subjugates the divine feminine energy.
Okay,
because what I'm saying is like the inception of the planet. We all know it was started when you talking about the 24,000 year beatification period. The first 6,000 years was based on a sun cycle. So what I'm saying is like when you're talking about the energy of the lunar cycle, that's connected to material, and the material plane is connected to a patriarchal society that is galvanized by capitalism, is galvanized by monotheistic religious systems, is galvanized by classism, is galvanized by, the political system in itself when you're talking about turning humans into humanoid real estate, chattel slavery. Which goes into the white lion. We're gonna get into that as we go into the video.
These things that as Phil Valentine calls them, the parasitic elite want to implement, do they have to do it in a certain year? Because a certain year denotes a certain energy. Like 2020, major shit went down in 2020 with the lockdown and everything, and people was breaking it. Connected it to the 2020 and the vision and this and that. 2024, build and destroy. Do you think shit has to go down in 2024 because of that number, because of the number 8, or do you think they have a time period where they could do certain things?
I think it has to go down right now because 2023 was actually the precursor to the year 8, which is based on the supreme mathematical sequence of building and destroying. The building of a matriarch as you have the destruction of patriarchy. So in actuality, you know, when you go to the 1813 Freemasonic Apocryphal Bible, it basically tells you that the year 2023 is actually the year 5,999. The year of 2024 is the year of 6,000. So 6,000 year verification period of the lunar cycle that's connected to their system has to phase out. So that's why in 2023, you have the Balfour Declaration expired. When you're talking about the state of Israel, you got the Federal Reserve filed Chapter 11. Then you had the United States Corporation filed Chapter 11. Then you had all these British monarchy systems filing Chapter 11. That is basically the trilateral connection of their system that controls us on a democratic level. Like I said, because democracy is basically, you know, a de facto corporation. So that's what controls us. So as we going into the year 2024, it actually dismantles that energy. As we segue into the year 2025, which is the 9 year, the 9 year of the non-ether energy. So like I said, it could be one of those things where the grid goes down to where actual things take place just like it did in the movie, or it can be the power grid being knocked out because of the energy of the sun in the 9 year, because that's when the sun is at solar maximum. So just as I'm saying today, the sun cycle, we in solar cycle 25. Solar cycle 25, 2 + 5 is 7, and 7 is a representation of the God frequency or the Christ consciousness. So that God frequency in itself is based on the fact that this can be the precursor to the 7th seal being opening to where you have a magnetic pole shift and a great solar flash and things of that nature.
You know, we're talking about numbers. You know, the movie started out with the, you know, with this whole 666 with the clock and things like that. How does the 666? People have different breakdowns of it. You talked about Moloch and Lil. What's the connection between the 666? Because I heard about the whole melanin connection, but what's the connection between the 666 and this entity in Lil that you talked about is connected with this movie?
Actually, if this just based on my independent research, when you talking about the sunspot activity that just took place a few days ago, there was a sigil on the sunspot, and it was a direct emulation of the Hebrew number 6. And it's also connected to the sigil system of the spirit of the moon. So, like I said, it can be one of those things where the influx of the energy of the sun can basically reverse the polarity of the 6th ether energy that keeps you connected to the Metatronic overlay, which is basically the foundation of the lunar cycle.
Right. Hold up. You talking about this symbol right here?
Yes, sir.
And you saying this is what now?
Is the sigil of the spirit of the moon. And my brother, phase 1, he said it's also the symbol of lamb. And and when I was doing my research, and I also found out it's the sigil of the ancient Hebrew number 6. When you flip it around,
right?
It's the same symbol. When you look at the monster drink, when you flip it around, it's the same sigil.
Oh, okay. The monster drink, right. I get what you're saying. Yeah, right. So, in terms of the movie, what other important symbolism do you think is in the movie that we should be paying attention to in particular?
The main thing you should pay attention to is this movie is really talking about the reverberation and the liberation of our people. So when you go talking about the White Lion was talking about the inception point of hitting the shorelines of America in 1619. 1619 all the way to 2019 was the end of the 400-year curse of your so-called slavery. So then after that, from 2019 to 2020, Donald Trump, he signed the Second Declaration of Independence that basically suspended the corporations in itself, which is why they filed Chapter 11 in 2023. So it's all based on the restoration of a republic. because like I said, you can't, as we're going into a sun cycle is galvanized by a republic, and a republic is galvanized by a matriarch. And the matriarch started with, the indigenous people that's connected to the geographical landmass of America. So the people that was on that white lion, when you're talking about the Dutch, because the white lion was actually a Dutch warship that came onto this geographical landmass and implemented ecclesiastical law, which is connected to canon laws, and canon laws are connected to corporate internal codes, which is based on commercial law. So that commercial law in itself is connected to a form of patriarchy that's connected to their financial and their economical system. So, like I said, it's really just based on the fact that it's basically dismantling the 400-year curse. That's what that was basically the symbology of that.
Right. So the Obamas are involved in this now. They directed it. Am I correct? Obama, they directed it. So I remember back in the day, comedians used to make jokes about, we'll never have a black president. If we do have a black president, it's the end of the world. Then when Obama became president, people was like, America is going to fall very soon. We have a black president.
Right.
Do you think, what is it about the black president being connected with the fall of America? And now here comes this black president again being connected with the fall of America in a movie. So what is it about melanin and this melanated authority and this fall of America, where every time this melanated authority pops up, it's always tied to the fall of this country, whether it's a movie or whether it's in real life?
Well, it's kind of like a catch-22. It's like they understand, the great majority of so-called black people are very politically naive. And when it comes to politics and iconography and having a veneration for people of color when they have, high positions and things of that nature, that's the illusion, because they know he was going to be the chess piece to implement, because he's the one that signed the Patriot Act. He's the one who signed the NDAA, martial law bills and things of that nature. So a lot of people will actually show credence to Obama, even though he signed a lot of stuff that put us in the state of where we're at right now. So it's like, it's one of those things where they knew they can mix the candy with the medicine. So he was actually the chess piece in order to implement a New World Order system.
Indeed. Yeah. Some people are calling this movie some people are like this movie got people moving, BDell. I know people that started stocking up the day after this movie came out. Something different about this one, man. With so much negativity coming about from this movie, from the so-called, let's say the so-called conscious people are saying this movie's negative, it's fear-mongering, and they're staying away from it. What are your thoughts about those who look at it as inspiration versus those who look at this movie as fear-mongering? Because I'm seeing two different ways to look at this movie from two different people.
The thing about being conscious and being acclimated to spirituality, it's all about not being tricked. It has nothing to do with peace and love and light. Spirituality and enlightenment and consciousness is all about not being tricked and being able to have the mental fortitude to decipher the messages within these movies. So people get so caught up into the fact that even though it's showing you the reality of things that can actually take place, they say that it's fear mongering, or I don't want to hear nothing about the end of the world and things of that nature. It lowers my vibration. But this is a reality, though. These things that actually take place, because once something happens, then you're not going to be able to reap the benefits of having resources of when things start to actually go down, just like it took place in the movie. You're not going to be ready for it, because you basically swept everything under the rug because you didn't want to see the reality of everything that was taking place in the movie.
Right. Yeah, I seen somebody wrote, being conscious is not holding on to the world. You think the more conscious we come, the more we hold on to the world more?
It's what it seems like.
Some people, huh?
Because a lot of people have an emotional attachment to the great majority of these things on the planet.
Indeed.
So I always look at when I watch movies like this, I always look at it from a metaphysical eye. So I'm just looking at it from, just because it's a message and everything. Just like they had when you had the draconian juice that came out, there was a movie called Contagion that came out, and then it actually took place in real time in 2020. These movies are actually messages. Then you had the movie The Knock at the Cabin, which is basically kind of like a precursor to the movie that we're to the Leave the World Behind movie. Because it's like in that movie, you had an influx of planes falling out of the sky and they were crashing due to the power grid faulting out. These are real. That's why I tell people all the time, be very meticulous of you getting on these planes. I'm not trying to scare you or nothing like that, but what you're going to do when the energy grid goes down. And then the World Economic Forum been telling us at the end of the movie, they told you it's the last warning. So how many more warnings that we're going to get from the establishment? How many more warnings we're going to get from the movie industry, the music industry, that putting all these golden nuggets, in these movies to warn humanity, just to, basically to suspend their karma. We can't castigate these things and just write it off as a conspiracy.
Right. What personally, you talked about, the energy grid being shut down, and that was a theme in the movie. You also mentioned Diddy's album Off the Grid. What does this movie inspire you to do personally if the energy grid does go, or when? Or some people would say when, some people would say if, but let's say when or if the energy grid shuts down. What is this movie? Let's look at it as being inspiration. What is it inspiring you to do, BDell?
It inspires me to work. It inspires me to do a lot of things that are a lot more self-affirming. I'm in the gym. I'm not in the gym for the women. I'm in the gym, in case, some stuff goes down and I got to have, strength, and I got to have endurance in order to survive what is, to come. A lot of stuff that I do as far as my hobbies that, that's acclimated to a certain timeline, and I'm going to be prepared for it. So whether if it's you stocking up on food or, galvanizing weaponry and things of that nature, that's what you got to do, because we in a time period right now is like, it's kind of critical. You don't know if it's going to happen today or tomorrow, but we do know that we at the end of a corporation, you at the end of a system. And a lot of times when you at the end of a system, you got to hit the reset button. And the best way you can see that is to understand that when they try to pass off things that are degenerate, they try to pass it off as if it's progressiveness. That's how you know it's the end of a system. Because
Go ahead, brother.
Because they trying to make evil fair seeming. And a lot of that's how you know that this whole system in itself has to hit the reset button. Right. Because everything has reached its limits. There's no evolution for the third dimension.
What do you mean by that? So it's
you just gotta look at it like, as far as the music, I feel like the music has reached its mandated cap. The movies, they coming out with remakes. Everything has reached its limit. The third dimension in itself is a limited type of energy, and like I said, it's reached its bifurcation period. So nothing is really progressing. So this is why they giving you sexual proclivities. They giving you many different forms of degradation, and they say, "Oh, this is progressiveness. You should generate this," but it's really you going backwards. So that's why the cosmic clock and the cosmic pendulum has to hit the reset button, whether it's going to be orchestrated by the plutocracy or it's going to be orchestrated by nature. But we do know everything got to be zeroed out.
I wonder, this movie hit around the same time that when we just showed that hole in the sun. I think it came out around that time that hole appeared in the sun, man.
And then you just had oh, my bad, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, I just had who?
We just had a monster X-class solar flare hit 3 hours ago.
Right.
And it had the same depiction of the blue sun that Andre 3000 was talking about.
Right.
When I saw the publication for it.
Right.
So this can also be the inception point of trying to tell us about the blue star Kachina and things of that nature.
Right. So these people, these so-called elites, do you think that, they are allowed to do a certain amount of evil in the world, but whenever entities in a high dimension want to use them, they could take over them like a robot? So let's say we think because it came from Obama, it's something bad, or it came from Steven Spielberg, or Star Wars came from this one, it's something bad. But when these people who do a lot of evil things, but when it's time, when the ancestors or the spirits want to use them, they will use them for something good, and we have to look beyond the messenger into the message because it's coming from the higher ups. Do you think like these people are being controlled right now to do the bidding for us? It looks bad, but they're really doing the bidding for us. Do you think that's a possibility?
I believe so. You go to El's Holy and Jill, Revelations chapter 17. It tells you that the evil reptilian gave power to the beast, and the evil reptilian is also connected to the 200 fallen angels who are the cherubim. So when you talking about as far as who controls the energy extraction matrix,
right,
the Canaanite are the ones who control this whole system, and they're doing the bidding of a certain archonic figure and the archonic forces behind the scenes, or the unseen hand, or your so-called, black nobility. The best way I can explain it is when you watch the movie Cabin in the Woods. You had the elite, you had these puppeteers underground in that movie. In order for them to basically maintain rulership over the planet, they had to sacrifice a certain demographic of people in order to maintain the material plane, basically. So I actually think the same thing actually takes place in real time when you're talking about sacrificing. So this is why you have a lot of trafficking and a lot of people coming up missing, a lot of people coming up dead. When you're talking about these psychological operations, they have to implement that form of degradation on the planet in order to stretch out the timeline on the cosmic clock. So they do that stuff on purpose.
Right. What message do you think? What message did you derive about animals from this movie?
As far as the deers or whatever, it's really just telling you connect right back to nature. That's what I got from it, because a lot of these the angelic forces, they connect with animals and they connect with children. So that's why the little girl, she had a veneration and she was connected to the deer, and they were basically leading her into the woods, and she actually found the bunker system. If she wasn't connected to the energy of nature, she at the end of the movie, she would have never found that bunker system. But since she was so tapped into the nature, she was able to create a form of survival.
People talked about some of the frequencies in the movies.
I forgot all about that.
Yeah. Touch on that.
Yeah, as far as like the frequencies, now we all know that they use weather modification weapons and frequency modification weapons. So that's all connected to the fact that these frequency modification weapons can create a P136 deletion syndrome, which basically dematerializes the two frontal lobes of the brain. So this is where you can get your whole concept of a zombie apocalypse, or you can get your whole concept of your anatomy breaking down when you talk about sun frequencies coming in, to where you're not reaping the benefits of ascension, because you have to have carbon, because these energies is coming in, they can knock out the power grid. Is the same thing that sparks the soul of man through nitroids, which is basically Solomon's temple. So that etheric frequency can actually, it can upgrade the body if you have carbon, or it can basically dematerialize the body if you're connected to the 6 ether recessive genetical traits. So that's why I said, when you look at the sigil system of the sun, that sunspot, it was showing you the dismantling of the 6 ether energy. So when you have these etheric forces coming in, operating on fractions of light, like I said, it can upgrade the spirit body, the spirit of Melchizedek.
Do you in terms of the ending of the movie, a lot of people was upset with the end of the movie. What was your particular thoughts about the ending of this movie?
like I told somebody not too long ago, a lot of people, they was looking at the movie as far as a form of entertainment. I didn't look at it like that. I didn't care about the end of the movie or whatever.
Right.
I put the message and went on about my business. But the end of the movie, it was just showing you the little girl. She had a veneration for a certain TV show, and she was saying like, "Oh, this is the last episode." But when I looked at that, I was like, "This is like last episode, last one." That was like basically saying like that's a codex for saying last warning. You know what I'm saying? That's what I got out of it.
Now we were just talking about the frequencies, and a lot's going on, and I want to ask you about DNA. Any messages you got from the movie about DNA, because that's a hot topic. But in terms of frequencies, a lot of people are reporting ringing in their ears. I don't know if I asked you this in a previous show, but moving into 2024 into 2030 and in the future, what is your thoughts on ringing in the ears and so many people reporting? People are even reporting different tones, like it'll go from a low pitch to a high pitch, like it's motherfucking making a song or something like that. What are your thoughts on the ringing in the ears right now in a society?
Well, from a spiritual perspective, when you hear tones and frequencies like that, you're supposed to put yourself in a state of meditation in order to connect whatever message that's being transmitted to you from the higher dimensions. So it can, like I said, it can be one of those things where it can be a frequency modification weapon that's basically trying to rewire the neurotransmitters and cause brain hemorrhages and things of that nature. Just like in I forgot what movie it was. I think the movie was called Cell. Everybody that was connected to all these technological devices, when these frequencies came in, it basically, the great majority of humanity, they lost control of their humanoid traits. It basically manipulated the cognitive abilities of humans, and they were banging their heads on the ground because of not the solar frequencies, but the technological frequencies. So it could be one of those things where it can be in a form of spirituality when you're trying to, connect with, ancestors or whatever, or it can be one of those things where the government is using frequency modification weapons to basically carry out a certain agenda and to implement a form of depopulation, which goes all the way back to the Decoded publication that came out last year when they said that when the sun is at solar maximum, it can basically cause a mass depopulation rate. So like I said, that's all. Like I said, it can be one of those things where it can be implemented by technology, or it can be implemented by solar frequencies. So the pitching in the ringing of the ears, it can be one of those two things.
Right. Wow. Now, what's your thoughts on I'm trying to think, what should I ask? Your thoughts on, you talked about the sun, and you talked about the 6 ether beings, and do you think this is also a warning, another warning for certain species to mix with other species in order to survive what's getting ready to come, if it's sun related?
It could I believe so, that because we all know that as far as when it comes to westernized dating preferences, a lot of stuff that they put in these movies is kind of like, I understand, like, we living in a time where they want to amalgamate other demographics with other demographics or whatever, but we all know what that's about. That's really about the ascension process when you're talking about the one drop of blood.
Right.
So you got to have a certain anatomy in order to survive the shift. That's why, the energy extraction matrix, the foundation of it is based on eugenics. And Henry Kissinger, he just died, right? And his whole thing was all about depopulation and eugenics, because he was a eugenicist and he was also a part of the plutocracy and things of that nature. So when you're talking about that whole aspect in itself, is really talking about genetical self-preservation, because whether the grid goes down or not, if you don't have carbon, because carbon is basically the building block of all civilization, and when it's able to copulate with ether, you can take on all forms of radiation. It could be a radiation that's being implemented by technology, or it can be radiation that's coming from the cosmos. It doesn't matter. So that's how that's how intelligent ether and carbon is. when it's amalgamated with the so-called black woman. But if you don't have that carbon, it can be detrimental to you for your anatomy. Just like in the movie, the younger boy, his teeth start to fall out because of the frequencies.
Right.
Because like I said, the sun, or if, like I said, whatever technology, it can break down your anatomy.
Mm-hmm. Somebody asked in the chat, did he already mention the ties to slavery?
Yeah, I only spoke a little bit about it, but from 1619, when you have talking about the White Lions, 1619 to 2019 was the end of the purification period of the so-called 400-year curse. So that's when you had those missionaries. They came over here and they took us out of our sovereign capacity under ecclesiastical law with canon laws, because the church and the state is not separate. So that's how they took us out of our sovereign capacity, through false monotheistic religious systems, because the religion in itself is connected to the 1724 Black Christian codes. It's all based on the corporate war entity that puts us under the 14th Amendment, which is a fraudulent contract because it was never ratified. So like I said, all that stuff is connected to democracy. Like I said, now the end of the 400-year curse from 1619 to 2019, Donald Trump signed a second Declaration of Independence, which is based on the restoration of a republic, and a republic is galvanized by a matriarch. So that creates the fact that indigenous people are connected to a matriarchal civilization that dismantles the corporation in itself, because the corporation was created by the patriarchy aspect when you're talking about the Canaanites.
Shout out to my brother Kwame Sunhorse. I haven't talked to this brother in a while. Brother's always traveling. Shout out to that brother. He said it was prophesied that the white lines will return when humanity was on the verge of disaster. Yeah, what's your thoughts on that, BDell?
That sounds, like I said, it's one of those things where it's a golden nugget in the movie. So like I said, so it's really talking about the reverberation and the liberation of a certain demographic of people. So with that being said, it could be one of those things where it can dismantle the sleep spell of Kingu, which is connected to the energy of the moon. And the moon is connected to patriarchy that subjugates the divine feminine and the divine masculine. So the white lion aspect is with the end of a corporation that was connected to their patriarchal corporation, is actually talking about the liberation of our people just based on celestial events that's taking place. Right.
Definitely. Give me some questions. I'm gonna start because I know a lot of y'all, the chat is super busy. BDell is gonna be on for about an hour, then the brother KT is gonna come on. So I'm gonna let the last 15 minutes, I'm gonna let y'all rock out with questions, and we could all chop it up together. So give me some questions in the chat for my brother BDell. All right. Somebody wants to know, BDell, did you catch the kids' t-shirts Obey NASA?
Yeah, I seen that. It was I seen that in the part when they was in the woods. It had Obey NASA on there. That's because like NASA is also connected to I think I forgot the term it was. I know they're connected to the sustainable development goals when you're talking about the World Economic Forum, because these are all the new corporations that's in place of the old corporations that basically dismantled in 2023 because they all filed Chapter 11. So you got NASA, the World Economic Forum, the United Nations, military factions, all of these new organizations are basically in replace of the Vatican, in replace of the United States Corporation, in place of the Federal Reserve System. So one of those things where it's showing credence to NASA, which is also galvanized by the United Nations.
Okay, let's get to some more questions. They got a lot. Should we buy land and build bunkers? Also, should we move out of the USA?
No, I wouldn't say move out. We've been here. This is ours. This is the land of Tahu. This is the land of the indigenous people. But I would say, be very meticulous and and to not just pass off and castigate everything as far as like a conspiracy theory, because according to the timeline we've been living on, the timeline of eschatology, we've seen things that took place in movies, and then years later it actually happened in real time. So, I mean, if you have to build a bunker or buy land, if you feel like that's going to get you ahead, I mean, go on and do it.
Indeed. Somebody, and anybody know what the Spanish lady was panicking for?
I didn't really get too much out of that. It just looked like she was in a state of survival because she was stranded. But I don't speak Spanish, so I don't really know that, whatever she was saying. But I know that was during the course of the time when the guy, he had got those papers from the drone that said that America was basically going to be killed off, basically. Death to America. That's what the message was in Arabic writing.
Right.
And I also said, when the lady got the message, she said that it was also written in Chinese on another publication that they had when they got those messages in that little red paper, because we all know that China and Iran, they're basically allies. So you also could have a cyber attack to be implemented just based on that whole philosophy that they was propagating in the movie. Whether it can come from Iran or it can come from China.
Okay. Next, Conjure Queen. Shout out to Conjure Queen. She wants to know. Let's talk about the third notification that popped up on Julia Roberts' phone.
What was? I don't remember that part. What was?
I do not either.
I don't remember that part.
All right. Maybe in the chat, let us know what was going on with that in the chat. Next question: do we abandon the current system or do we revise it?
Oh, nature in itself is going to abandon the current system. So, like I said, this is a restoration process. This is the year 8. You got it's based on building and destroying. You have the building of the matriarch as you have the falling of patriarchy. Everything is one of those things where people have to divorce themselves from these misnomer titles, these misnomer nomenclature titles that connect you right back to their system. You know what I'm saying? You're not African American, you're not Black people, you know, whether you believe that or not, but it connects you right back to the 14th Amendment when you go to the federal laws and civil procedures. So in order to divorce the whole system in itself, you have to walk in the path of our real ancient history. You know what I'm saying? You got to tap into that energy, because according to the 1848 Supreme Court decision on June 6th, it tells you that the 5 civilized tribes is connected to the indigenous people, the Washita, the Yamasee. And then also, I forgot about this. When you go to the cyber attack map, when you go to, since we're talking about the Native American and the indigenous people, when you go to the cyber attack map, there's a QR code. When you scan the QR code, it takes you to West Virginia, and it's called Lake Shaunie. In Lake Shaunie, there was an amusement park, and it was built on top of Native American burial lands. Right. So, like I said, it's really showing you in real time that they're showing you that your so-called Black people are actually the real Native American indigenous people connected to this land. They got taken out of their sovereign capacity from the inception point of the white lion hitting this geographical landmass. So it's one of those things where, like I said, you got to connect right back to the Republic. You got to connect back to the matriarch in order to divorce yourself from the current system. Right.
That seems to be a theme, BDell, with a lot of the speakers that come on the platform, in terms of returning to this matriarchal energy, and getting rid of this patriarchal energy. And this is whether, it's the sisters on here or the brothers on here. It seems to be one of the main themes that are surrounding the conscious circuit right now, my brother. Very interesting. All right, let's get to the next question. What to do if you what to do if you've been trying to get prepared, but life circumstances seem to keep getting in the way? This isn't about the movie. This is a personal question the brother's asking. All right.
I would say
You're good.
Try to dismantle anything that you have an emotional connection to try to control it, to where you can use your emotions as a navigation system. Don't let over emotionalism put you in a state of self-subjugation. So it's one of those things where you got to be operating from a place of balancement. So when you operate in a place of balancement, that way you can decipher and use your critical thinking skills before you put yourself in a state of emotionalism. So it's one of those things you got to have mind over matter. So like I said, everything, we all know that materialism, or your job and all these things that's connected to the material plane, we have an emotional connection to it, and it's not sustainable. But the only thing that's sustainable is you connecting to things that's not external. You got to go internal. So when certain things, as far as like family members that's pulling you back to where you trying to pull you back and connect you back to your old past, you have to basically divorce yourself from all that energy as well.
Right.
Because like I said, it's not going to put you in a state of evolution.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that, graphic arts, and I'm glad BDell answered that. I know a lot of people are going through that, have gone through that, and will go through that. It's a real life scenario that gets played out probably in every single one of our lives. So yeah, family. All right. Somebody says the movie warned you your biased perspective frames what you believe. What you believe may not be the truth. Discernment is not bias. What's your thoughts on this, BDell?
Well, I mean, it's also being facilitated by something that they know that the great majority of the public is acclimated to, where if they believe in the political system, or if they believe in the economical system. But like I said, everything has a process of limited, expectations. Nothing in this world is, as far as like the three-dimensional matrix system or whatever, there's nothing sustainable behind it. Nothing is sustainable. Everything has an expiration date.
Indeed.
So your belief, it really doesn't matter.
Any geographical areas where chosen ones should start migrating to? I think they might have asked you this before, BDell, in another show.
Man, I think Atlanta, that seemed like that's where the great majority of people have been relocating to. But as I was telling someone before, because you got a lot of people, as far as like your chosen ones, we are scattered all over the planet. And right. I think that's done, on purpose, from higher forces or whatever. And that's why sometimes it's kind of hard that's why you might be the only one in your city who thinks the way that you think, and you might get castigated for it or whatever. Or some people look at you at a supreme level, but you in that geographical landmass for a reason. That's because you're in that station point to raise up the vibrational frequency as the planet is going through a process of unity consciousness. So over time, when you have things like in the movie, when the planet was in a state of destabilization or whatever, eventually, everybody has to come together in order to maintain self-preservation.
Rod Hayes talked about a lot of the chiefs, or he used another word, but a lot of the real strong spirits decided to incarnate in this particular region that we call America. My question to you is, why do you think a lot of souls, why did the souls choose America to come down to really get shit popping? Everybody knows the USA is like on everybody's mind, whether you hate it or love it.
I really believe that, this is not to, castigate other demographics and races or whatever, but I really believe that this geographical landmass is actually the Holy Land. So like it's just based on logic. Like where's your African Michael Jordan? Where's your African Michael Jackson? Where's your African, we got all these great figures and everything that come from this geographical landmass. Some of your best thinkers on the planet come from this geographical landmass when you're talking about America. And I don't think that's done by accident. And then when you look at, monolithic structures, you have 2,000 pyramids in the Americas versus the ones over in Africa and the Middle East. They only have like 250. So I really believe it's one of those things where this geographical area is one of those things is supposed to be the inception point in order to raise up the vibrational frequency of the planet when you're talking about this unity consciousness.
Right.
That's why, I see other people, in Africa, most of the people in Africa and in different countries, a lot of them, even though they were, the great majority of that geographical area was colonized, you see a lot of them are Christians. You know what I'm saying? And then when I talk to one of them, they don't even understand what I'm talking about. So it's one of those things where I think this land is actually the real holy land of the real chosen people. And it starts with us first in order to get this whole great awakening popping.
BDell, somebody asked, I can't find the chat moving so fast, but they asked about the financial system. Are you a fan of cryptocurrency? Should people be saving their dollars and their coins, or should they migrate over to cryptocurrency? What's your thoughts about the financial system?
Well, I don't get into the crypto stuff or whatever, but by any means, for anybody who's connected to that energy, get your coins. But I wouldn't put all my eggs in one basket, because it's like in a movie, the guy, I think he was like an investor on Wall Street or whatever, and he said that the whole system in itself, as far as like this corporate system, it operates on curves, and he was said that he knew something was going to take place before it actually happened. So when you're talking about this whole crypto control system, the financial system in itself, it doesn't really have no type of sustainability to it. So that's why in the movie, in order for the young boy to get the medicine, they had to give the man cash, because liquid cash in itself still has a little power, even if you had the grid system goes down. So it's important to have, if you got money in the bank, do that if that's your thing, but keep some liquid cash because it still has energy to it. Because you might have to barter with it when the grid goes down. Who knows?
All right. We have been taught since 2020 not to react to the system. Here we are reacting to Hollywood predictive programming. What happened to intuition? Is this real life?
I mean, well, I'm not sure if you was listening at the beginning of the show, but it's one of those things where, you got to look at the movies with a metaphysical eye, because I told you the CIA has an office in Hollywood and Hollywood has an office in the CIA. So a lot of stuff that's taking place in these movies is actually happening in real time. Because, they showed you in Contagion in a movie, and then the draconian juice came out in 2020, and then people was like, oh, they got mad because the world was locked down.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So the same thing is actually going to be taking place. It's a precursor to it, because they said in the World Economic Forum said that we're going to have a cyber attack in 2 years. You're going to have a blackout. And that was back in 2021. So like I said, and then we're going and we're segueing into solar cycle 25. So a lot of stuff that can be taking place.
Yeah, I would say to this individual, when we both look at the same thing, we see different things. We may be looking at the same thing, but we may be seeing and interpreting and perceiving something different. I was actually inspired by a lot of things in this movie, and me and you have a different soul and a different spirit. So maybe you didn't get inspired at all. But if I'm inspired by something, it's a good thing for me. It's a good thing for my soul. It's a good thing for my spirit. But I just think differently from you. So we're all not going to see the same thing. You may look at me and think I look a certain way. Another female may look at me and think something completely different. So, it's all about perception, and that's obviously your perception, and more power to you. But here we are discussing our perception. All right. All right, here goes Kwame Sunhorse wants to know Watson Break. Oh no, I guess it's just a Watson Break is an archaeological site in present day Ouachita Parish, Louisiana, from the archaic period dated to about 5,400 years ago. All right, so that's just a statement. That's not a question. All right, let's get to another. Does the blue room in the beginning have any significance? Her dress also.
Deep state. Deep state shadow government. Because remember in the movie, that was basically showing credence to the Blue House. And the Blue House, like I said, is based on the embodiment when you understand the Freemasonic order of the Scottish Rite or the York Rite. So you had, it was showing you credence of the deep state. The deep state is the shadow government, and the shadow government is democracy. And democracy is being controlled by Canaanites. Those are the ones you're talking about, the cursed seed under Levitical law, when you're talking about the biblical context and things of that nature. So that's what it's basically showing credence to. So the Blue Room is actually showing credence to this. I think it was in Maui. Remember in Hawaii, they had all those blue roofs, and all the blue roofs, the houses didn't get touched.
Yeah.
So, like I said, so that's how you know a lot of these psychological operations is being implemented by the deep state. This is your shadow government. Because like I tell people all the time, the best, it's very simplistic on how you can decipher if the deep state is actually a de facto corporation. You in third grade, first grade, when we say the Pledge of Allegiance, it says to the republic. It did not say to the democracy. That's that's the diametrical difference. There's no such thing as democracy.
Okay, next question, BDell. What did the picture changing in the living room represent? The black and white picture.
I don't remember that part.
All right, let's get to another one. Somebody said, "Did you see the alien eyes in the bushes?" Y'all spying a lot.
Yeah, I seen that, but I wouldn't. I don't know if it was like insinuating on the fact that we're gonna have, some type of galactical beings coming, from a different star system and visiting us or whatever during that time period. So, I mean, it kind of the Cosmic Slot movie shows you that when the planet was like in chaos, and then you had these beings that came down and took all the so-called blacks away.
Indeed. Yeah, we're about to wrap it up, BDell. I got KT in the background.
Okay.
We just wrapped up the hour. Anything you want to leave the people with as we close out, BDell, in terms of this movie and in terms of moving forward in this dimension, my brother?
Don't get so caught up into consciousness and spirituality to the point where you're not able to decipher something real from something being as far as a psychological operation. Sometimes you need to look at certain movies. Sometimes you need to read certain publications. Sometimes you got to give your energy to something and use it as an alchemical resource in order to reap the benefits of true reality, to see the true light. So like I said, this movie, it might be fear-mongering to you, but it might be edification for the next person. So like I said, just use your spiritual eye and look at these movies with a metaphysical eye to decipher what's going to be taking place. I wouldn't, like I said, just don't be. I'm not saying be scared and things of that nature, but at the same time, just be critical and use your logical skills in order to decipher what's really going on.
Indeed. What's your how can they reach out to you, brother, and hear more of your material?
Okay, you can go to my YouTube channel at BDell1014. BDELL1014. That's my nomenclature title on Instagram. Also, I'm Brydell Rice Bay on Facebook as well.
Indeed. All right, my brother. I appreciate it. Coming on, dropping, and as always, my brother, we gonna get to KT, my brother. Take care, my brother BDell.
All right, peace. Shout out to KT.
Yes, peace. All right. Shout out to everybody listening. All right, my brother BDell held it down the first hour for us, and now we got KT. KT, can you hear me, my brother?
Yeah, loud and clear. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. All right. So let's get to it, my brother. Did you see my brother BDell talking about the
Huh?
Did you get to see any of BDell? My brother,
I got to hear some. Yeah, the brother was going in, man. Come on now.
Yeah, shout out to my brother BDell, man.
Yes, big shout out to him doing the work. The work. I don't even know if I need to say anything now.
Indeed. KT, man, you're known for this, man. I remember way back in the day at the Nicholas bookstore.
Yes.
When you used to decode
10 years ago.
Yeah. 10 years, that long?
Yeah. 2013, 2014.
Wow.
Yep.
That's amazing. Speaking of Nicholas bookstore, let me just tell the people real quick. It's going down in New York. this Saturday, there's a lot going on, and Nicholas Bookstore is bringing Wayne Chandler.
Hey.
All right, so make sure you'll come out to Nicholas Bookstore. For those of you who are in Manhattan, make sure you come out to Nicholas. Those who are in Brooklyn, I'm sorry, let me get rid of this. Make sure you come out to Nicholas Bookstore from 5 to 9 Saturday, December 16th. Ross Bennett is going to be there. Professor Cabal is going to be there. It's going down, family. So New York is going to be popping. And then right after that, we actually have the album listening session for Holy Ghost 3. Yeah, myself and Cambada. KT is going to be in the building.
Being ready.
Red Pill going to be in the building. Blue Pill. Even Sonetta going to be in the building. It's going to be a lot of people in the building that day supporting and listening to the album. Everybody, Ross Ben's going to come over, Professor Kaba, Monique from Nicholas, it's going to be jam-packed, and it's free entrance, family. So we want to see all of you there. And this is at the Alkaline Oasis, Mr. G spot, 958 Halsey Street,
That's
Brooklyn,
right.
New York, 11233. Once again, this is at the Alkaline Oasis. Shout out to Mr. G. And with that being said, KT, man, listen, man, I can't wait to hear your breakdown, brother. What is going on with this movie? This movie got people fighting and arguing. People mad that I'm talking about it. Oh man,
people mad because I've been hearing the exact opposite. Actually, everybody been kind of coming together talking about this movie. Like,
it's
did
low
you see
vibrational? They're like, it's low vibrational. Please don't touch that. I mean, they're scared. This shit got people scared. KT.
We're gonna. I don't know why, man. People scared of their own shadow, but that's what Corona do.
Oh man.
But yeah, real quick, let me oh my bad. Let me
What you got a presentation, right?
Yeah. I'm trying to wait a minute. Where my what's the name go? Hold on.
KT, man, why you getting that? I need some more honey, KT. That honey, man, is.
I know you ain't out already.
That honey, man. Come on, man.
Come on, it's gone.
What do you expect me to do, brother?
He said it's gone, dog. Oh, there we go.
Okay, you got it.
I want to make this announcement real quick before we get started. Let these people know that I just shared something. There we go. So, starting next week, for the holiday season, for the winter solstice, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. All y'all thinking y'all need to stock up on these superfoods. 50% off the entire site. I'm gonna say that again. The entire site, from honey to C3 to tonics to herbs, you name it. Half off that thing, chopping it in half. So that starts next Wednesday, just to give y'all a heads up on that. All right, at soionicbotanicals.com.
All right.
Now, without further ado,
yes.
She said you got a presentation, don't you? Got some slides, right?
You killing me. Your slides.
Hold on, where you go? Oh, I minimized it. Okay, there we go. All right.
Shout out to Mama Kali, Sitchin. I had on the show before. I got to reach out to that sister. She just texted me. Shout out to you, Queen. I haven't talked to you in a while. I'm definitely going to be reaching out to you soon. She just had a message. Mama Kali wanted us to know, as KT gets this, as we get this presentation.
Oh, it's up, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Mama Kali wanted to tell us that the Ethiopian prophet said in 1996 that women born in the African diaspora would change the world. We are returning to the indigenous matriarchy. So that's a message from Mama Kali. I'm sharing with the world. All right. And with that being said, KT, go ahead, my brother. You got the floor. I'm ready.
Right, let's rock and roll. All right. So I ain't gonna waste no time. So first of all, the movie They Leave the World Behind is a book from Ruman Alam. You're gonna see a lot of Islam throughout this whole movie because you got it with the author. You got Mahershala Ali up in this thing. You got the Arabic writing that's on the flyers that's thrown out of the drone. So there's a lot of that energy that's in the movie. But this book was written in 2020. All right. So this is a book based on the year in question. It was directed by Sam Ishmael. Okay. And then, even though it's written like that, Ishmael, that's still along that same energy. And that's the guy that's behind Mr. Robot, which is a real good series about a cat who's like this super hacker, and they use him to be a white hacker, because you got like white hacker, black hacker. Black hackers are the one that like take down that's negative, and then the white hackers are when you take them and use them for good. But that's all a matter of perspective. But that's what the series is about, and he's behind that series. And I know everybody knows this by now. You know what I mean? The cat is out of the bag that the Obamas produced this, and then Barack was like the main source material in regards to this film. Their production company is called Higher Ground. So you already know when somebody got the higher ground, that means that they're in a more beneficial spot than anybody else. You know what I mean? They got advantage over everybody. The film company's called Red Ohm Films. Red Ohm, right? So this is all you seeing when the movie's starting off. Higher Ground, Red Ohm. You know what I'm saying? All right. So we're going. So when the movie starts, we're gonna jump around a little bit, but when the movie starts off, it is kind of like a dream. It's the way that they zoom in on the camera, the way that they pull out, the way that they change the scene and everything like that. It starts off with in the room with Julia Roberts. They in Park Slope, they in Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? Movie starts off in Brooklyn. So this room is blue, and when you look at the time, when you look at the number on like the different numbers in the background, you're going to end up seeing 3 6s. So you see the 666, and the room is entirely blue, right? So when you see in 666, that's the mark of the beast. What that represents there. But then it's also carbon. So we got to always understand that at the same time we see all of this symbolism talking about the boogeyman, we also get in symbolism talking about us as well. Because anytime somebody's trying to show you there's no way out, in showing there's no way out, they're usually showing you the way out as well. So you got Julia Roberts up in this room, and she starts talking about, I just started packing everything up. I didn't want to even tell you that I booked this spot. We about to roll up out of here. And the husband still sleeps. So that's a dynamic scene, because the woman is up and at it and in tune and on something, right? While the husband is in the bed, knocked out. It's usually the other way around. Usually the man is up, getting to it, making it happen. You know what I'm saying? It's not the man that's still in the bed, knocked out, sleeping, wiping the drool off his face. He's like, okay, honey, sure, whatever, let's go. And she looking out the window, higher ground, just like the production company, looking down at the people, talking about, all these people going around every day trying to find their sense of purpose, but in all actuality, you know what I mean? It's, they wasting their time. I just realized I hate people. And then the movie starts. I come to realize, I hate people. That was the tone to set the movie off of. She's like, I'm full blown Karen all movie. So when they head out, they roll out on the highway, and they come to the exit, and the exit says Comfort Point, and the other exit says Fort Moses, right? So Fort Moses on the left, Comfort Point is on the right. Comfort Point is 76. You're going to keep seeing the number 76 through the whole movie, because 1776 is obviously when United States, the Declaration of Independence, but it's also 13, which is the age of the daughter, and that's another number that they keep repeating throughout the movie is 13. But this exit Fort Mose, originally known as Gracia Real de Santa Teresa de Mose, or the Royal Grace of Saint Teresa of Mose, and later as Fort Mose, or alternatively Fort Musa or Fort Mosa, is a former Spanish fort in St. Augustine, Florida. All right. What is it? Sanctioned as a free black settlement in 1738. As early as 1689, the colonial authorities of Spanish Florida had begun to offer asylum to escaped slaves fleeing from the Virginia colony. All right. So this Fort Mose is apparently a fort for the free man. So off the rip, it's talking about sovereignty. It's talking about slavery, freeing yourself, not being, you could be a slave or you cannot be a slave. These are the options that you have right now in regards to the bifurcation of the split that's taking place in these realities, because this movie deals with the rapture. This is why there's only a few people in the movie. Like, you could count everybody, you know, I'm probably on one hand, you know what I mean? At least on both hands. Ain't no more than 7, 8 characters in this whole film. Where is everybody? Well, in the rapture, remember, everybody gets taken by God to the other world, to the other realm, and those that are left get burnt. So technically, what we looking at is people who did not survive, you know what I mean, and that are in the rapture situation going on right now. So we looking at Fort Mose, and then we looking at Comfort Point, and then what's Comfort Point, right? So as they are going to the beach, they go around this little circle thing. If y'all look, it's an aerial shot of the car going around as they exit to the beach, right? That circle, look at the circle, pause the video. It's the symbol for the on-off button. You know, the on-off button is like a semicircle with that line coming out. It's right in the center. Right. And the reason why they got that there is because they're talking about turning off the power or turning on the power. You could turn the power on, turn it off, because we're dealing with the power stations getting shut down, frequencies and everything getting switched up. So they literally have them driving around and then it being a power button. And then when they hit the beach, this is when everything really starts firing up in the movie. So Rose, the youngest, you know, because the youngest are going to be the most attuned. They're not so caught up in the propaganda and the brainwashing of the world yet. They still have a connection because they're so young. And in our case, we got Rose. And remember, Rose have thorns. And remember, thorns is the name of the people that stayed in the house she went to at the end of the movie, was thorns. So Rose, right, growing from concrete, Rosicrucian, Rose represents red, right? Because red and blue are the two colors that you're going to keep seeing reference in this movie. She's the one that's the most attuned. She gets on the beach. She notices that the boat is coming closer, straight at them. And if you see it from a distance, the boat looked like it got a cross on the top. It gets closer and closer until it hits the shore. Now, Rose is wide awake, looking straight at it. Amanda, who's Julia Roberts, she's laying down, reading the book. She's awake, but she's reading. She's not really paying attention, but she's awake. But the two men, the son, Archie, and the husband, Clay, yo, they sleep. They knocked out. They ain't nowhere to be found in this scene, right? Through this whole movie, they getting carried by their women, right? So the ship ends up coming out the water, hitting the shore. This is what I would say the admiralty law, or the law of the sea, right? Coming up on land, finally coming up on the land. So on the boat, you see White Lion, and if you look closely to this image right here, it even has the glyph for Saturn on it. That's the Saturn glyph on the boat. Now, it says White Lion. White Lion is the eternal essence of African wisdom, stated by Credo Mutwa. I know you know about Credo Mutwa, Brother Rich, you know. rise in power, to the great elder. He was interviewed a lot by David Icke. Most people got introduced to him by him, but I was definitely listening to him, besides Icke. A lot of us did. He had some very powerful information back in the day before he transcended. And of course, all his information is everywhere now without it being accredited to him. But many African tribes, particularly the Shangaan, have long believed that when the earth is sick, God sends his children out in the form of white lions to heal and protect. So we got to understand all the symbolism that's going on here. People want to be scared, but at the same time, you should only be scared if you're not prepared. You should only be scared if you ain't doing what you're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? The White Lion is the first slave ship that docked in Point Comfort, Virginia in 1619. So Comfort Point is the name of the town that they actually are in this movie, staying in the house. And 1619 is the year that this slave ship docked. And that is the frequency station that's on the radio when Clay, the father, goes out to find a newspaper and get help when everything starts going crazy. When he gets in the car, he's smoking a cigarette. He's still trying to get a radio signal to come in. Nothing's coming in, right? So he's hitting the buttons. And when you look at what station is showing, is 1619. So they got the 1619 right there. Matt Quayle, who's the music composer of the movies from Virginia. And remember, I just spoke on Fort Mose in regards to the black settlement. All of those free men were coming from Virginia. Now, slavery ends when maritime law is challenged by common law or law of the land. We know right now we're dealing with BRICS, right? And we're dealing with the US dollar, and we're dealing with oil. This is an oil tanker that's doing what? Going from commerce, coming from the maritime law, hitting what? The bank. Hitting the bank. The oil is hitting the bank. That's what happened when you see it coming up on shore. You literally seeing the oil tank, the maritime law hitting the bank. The whole process is taking place right in front of our eyes. All right, let's keep it moving. All right, so the one after the Super Bowl, or the episode after the Super Bowl, is the name of this Friends episode. I know y'all notice all of the Friends references in this movie. Well, did you know that Julia Roberts and Matthew Perry actually dated? Do you know Julia Roberts was actually on an episode of Friends? That's where this picture is from. While on set, Chandler, who Matthew Perry plays, meets his old childhood friend Susie Underpants Moss. There go that Moss again. Wasn't we just talking about Fort Mose? Working on the production with whom he has a colored history. A colored history. When they were in elementary school, Chandler pulled up Susie's skirt. What? When she was on stage revealing her panties to the entire school. They arrange a date, Chandler unsuspecting that it's a plot to get revenge. After convincing him to wear her panties, Susie, Julia Roberts, leaves him wearing nothing but panties in a bathroom stall in the restaurant where they're having dinner. So the whole episode is about Julia Roberts getting revenge on Chandler for something Chandler did to her when they were back in elementary school. Why does this even matter? Well, Matthew Perry is one of the main characters of Friends. He's actually the last one casted. All right. And his character's name is Chandler Moriel Bing. Yes, Moriel. Moriel. All right. Now, Moriel becomes Abaddon, and the Hebrew term for Abaddon means destruction and doom. It is the angel of destruction, the angel of the abyss. In the Hebrew Bible, Abaddon is used with reference to a bottomless pit, often appearing alongside the place Sheol, meaning the resting place of dead people. Matthew Perry died on Julia Roberts' birthday. Died on Julia Roberts' birthday, right? The trailer to the movie came out on the 24th. Julia Roberts' birthday the 28th. Matthew Perry dies on the 28th in a hot tub. Technically in the bathroom, right? Where Julia Roberts left him on the episode. And on that day was also a lunar eclipse. They showed a lunar eclipse in the movie from the perspective of the moon, right? And the next scene was a glass filled with water, hot tub, handed to Julia Roberts as she gets up next to her son, Archie, who wakes up and all of a sudden notices his teeth is falling out. Matthew Perry revealed he lost all of his teeth in harrowing addiction battle as world mourns friend legend. I'm gonna let that marinate for a second. Just things that make you want to go. Now let's keep trucking. Friends was created to take attention away from living single. Let's talk about it. The whole reason why that show even came out in September 94 is because in August 93, Living Single dropped and it was tearing it up. And here come NBC trying to wash our creativity out the box. And you could look at it that way, or you could look at Friends, which is socialism versus living single, meaning autonomy, being able to be self-sustaining. So it's the battle between being able to live single and be comfortable with yourself versus you having to get likes, and social media. Denzel Washington left the role. Do y'all know Mahershala Ali's part was supposed to be Denzel? Yeah, he was signed on and everything. He actually left, abandoned it. And that's how Mahershala Ali got into it. You know, and Mahershala Ali plays G.H. Scott, and you can see that that's Gil Scott Heron because the revolution will not be televised. Why won't the revolution be televised? Why? Because they cut the TV, they cut the frequency, so you can't see what's happening. Nobody was able to find out what was happening when everything was going to hell, right? So the revolution was not televised on there. And remember, Denzel and Julia was in the Pelican Brief together, and there was this whole thing about them wanting him to kiss Julia Roberts in the movie, and he was like, "Nah," you know what I'm saying? So, you know, we don't know where. I just think it was the whole role of what Mahershala Ali was playing in this movie. I think Denzel just was like, "Nah, I'm too old for that, bro. I ain't about to do that. The painting keeps changing throughout the whole movie. When they arrive at the house and they go up to the bedroom, as you see in this picture, you see these waters are real calm. But as the movie progresses and things start popping off, it keeps changing until the waters get rougher and rougher until they're just these huge waves. You know, so it's reflecting calm waters, disturbed waters, rough waters, reflecting the state that the characters in the world around them. All right. Let's see. Let's go. I'm going to come back to that. So there's a scene I was talking earlier when Clay, which is Ethan Hawke's character, he dips out because his wife gets up showing him the alerts, and he's still kind of in this nonchalant, like he can't grasp that the shit doesn't hit the fan. So he's just like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna leave. I'm gonna leave and go into town and get me a paper. And this is when you really find out that Clay ain't about nothing. He is not a real man in the sense of it, because this man don't got no sense of direction because he's handicapped by GPS. So he gets lost. But when we find out he gets lost, where do we find out he gets lost at? He gets lost by Taney Farms. Taney Farms. Why Taney Farms? Because 14th Amendment citizens, right? Based upon the Dred Scott case, okay? And we got G.H. Scott, we got Gil Scott Heron, but let's not forget about the Dred Scott case. And the Dred Scott case is a case where Dred Scott went to court, you know, trying to get recourse and you know, go. He tried to go to court in respect to him being a slave and wanting to become a free man. You know what I'm saying? And get damages and everything like that. And they ruled against him. They was like, "Yo, you can't be no citizen because you are a descendant of the indigenous people, and indigenous people can't be citizen. You can't be a citizen and be free." Because citizen means slave. So if you're trying to be a citizen, then yeah, you found guilty. You held in contempt. You an oxymoron. You see? So the reason why they got Tanny Farms is because that's exactly what it is. This US government is a farm that's constantly farming and creating what? Creating all of these citizens, creating all of these artificial persons, taking all of these people that have the highest title and these inalienable rights, as well as the estate, and is connected to this land. And what are they doing? What are they doing? They trading you in for all caps. They trading you in for food stamps. They trading you in for debit cards and credit cards. You know what I'm saying? And licenses and everything like that. So it's a whole farm here. And the reason why it says Taney is because Roger B. Taney. Remember, Roger means that it's a term that's used, you know, in the army and over the radios to mean that you understand. So Roger B. Roger B. Taney is the Supreme Court judge that was involved in the Dred Scott case. So we got lost. That's when we got lost. Is in this whole Dred Scott era right here, right? So Taney Farms was where your boy got lost at. All right. Now, them high frequency waves that was kicking. You know what I'm saying? Frequencies. How many times do I talk about frequencies and 5G and everything with y'all, man? You know, what did I say? I say, listen, it ain't the boogeyman that got everybody sick. It's toxemia and radiation. So they end up releasing some type of new weapon, some type of sonic based weapon, right? That is so powerful that it releases radiation in addition to the effect of it having a high damaging sound, right? And we got to understand that direct energy weapons have always been the way that they kind of force, navigate, coerce, push groups of people in the population to do things are just straight genocide, you know. And we have to look into the mud flood, we have to look into Tartaria, we have to look into the Great Reset, because we think, you know, the world we looking at right now is the world it's always been, and it's not. We missing big gaps of time in history because there's been resets, and the adults and the elders was wiped out, and the children's was all that was left, and they had orphan trains and everything like that, where they then programmed the children to this new world. If you look at the, you know, the early 1900s and 1800 pictures, they got all these videos and all these images of kids in work clothes, they in overalls, they working in factories and stuff, and their face look old, like they've been grinding. You know, where their parents at? Ain't no parents. So it's like, this is how you reset society. You take all the children, you program them, you get them going, you know what I'm saying? And then as they get older, they only know what they have learned, you know? So we, you know, this is a whole reset situation that's going on with this whole film, you know? And the disorientation from these high power sound waves, from these direct energy weapons that they have, can cause nausea, you know what I'm saying, disorientation, you know. And you saw your boy was throwing up vomit and everything, teeth was falling out, you know. So that's exactly what that was right there, you know. All right, let's keep pushing. All right, so after he got lost, he runs into the Spanish lady, right? And the lady runs up. So this is what the lady was saying in Spanish. All right. because it was intense. You know, he didn't want to help her. He just was like, he was talking back and forth, and then he just rolled out. And you know, this is another reason why Friends is keeps being played in the movie, because it's like, you know, when situations like this arise, like, are you gonna be selfish and just cut off and just worry about yourself, just worry about you and your family, or are you gonna be humane to a degree and help your fellow man too? You know, and that's another reason why Friends was a term. It's fake friends with social media, and then it's also the true concept of friends as well. So she said, "Thank God I found someone. I'm trying to get back to my home. Um, I'm lost. I've been walking for a while. I need to use your phone. You're the first person I've seen all day. We've got to get out of here. I just saw a plane that was spraying red gas in the vicinity." She thought it was gas because from a distance, that's what it looked like. I guess she didn't let it get close enough to see that it was pamphlets coming out of there. "I saw some deer, more than 50. They were coming out of the woods. Please, I need to go home, sir. A military plane appeared and fled. There's no one around. Is it a chemical attack?" So this is what she was saying, you know, in Spanish, like going crazy with that thing, you know. So yeah, let's go. All right. So we got Rose and we got Archie. All right. Rose and Archie. And between the two, you got Obey NASA. He got the Obey shirt. She got the NASA shirt. But he also got another shirt on there when his teeth falling out, Primitive. Because Archie is low vibration. He that's what he represents in this film. He's low, primitive, survival, not even survival. He ain't even thinking about surviving. Like, he's just kind of coasting through. You know what I'm saying? When we first see him in the car playing video games, shoot him up, you just hear him shooting and people dying. That's all you hear him doing. Video games, right? Primitive. All he's thinking about is sex. He's looking at the girls on the beach. He's trying to get the girl to come over to the house on the phone on the beach. When he get the phone to the mama, he looking at Ruth. You know what I'm saying? When she comes out to the pool with the bathing suit on. And mad pessimistic, you know, all the time to his little sister. Usually when you were older brother, you got a little sister, you mad protective of her. You know what I mean? You little tough on her, so she's not too softened in the princess mind, so she could survive in the world, but you ain't dogging her out. And he's just dogging her out. You know, pessimistic, being an older brother, is a burden and finds pleasure in causing psychological stress and pain to his sister. He finds comfort in destroying her self-esteem. He's the weakest, so he's the most affected. That's why he's coming apart. He's unraveling because the energy that he represents, if you are rocking like this cat, you're going to be the most affected. You're going to unravel the quickest and the most. You know, he got either this tick or this parasite that bit him in the woods, you know, and he don't even try and look at it, dress it or nothing. He just snaps it, pulls it out, half the thing probably inside his body, you know, his teeth coming out, he throwing up everywhere. He obeys his lower self. Now, Rose has awareness, but is distracted and not guided, so she is delusional. Hence NASA, because NASA ain't nothing but smoke and mirrors, and is obsessed with friends as we are with social media. Okay, with the need for likes and shares and to be accepted and attention, right? And living in a world that don't exist, just like her telling her mama, "Yo, do you think we could visit the coffee shop?" Right? And it's funny because she's talking to Susie. She talking to Julia Roberts. She talking to her mama, who actually is from Friends, talking about, "Can we go to the coffee shop that you was at with Chandler?" And she like, and then the father's like, "Oh, nah, that's just a set. That ain't real." But technically it is real. And social media is exactly that. We look at all these people all over the world, traveling, doing all this stuff. And we think that's their lifestyle. We think that's who they are. We think we know these people. You DMing people, you having conversations with folk, you might even do lives with people, and you think that's their reality, but it ain't nothing but a set. You know, it's equivalent to kids talking about they want to go to the North Pole to see Santa. And you like, but Santa ain't real. But yet you still celebrate Santa Claus with them, nonetheless. All right. So I wanted to throw this out there because of the teeth falling out, low intensity pulse ultrasound, the same way frequencies can be used to break glass, to melt metal and turn a solid into almost a fluid liquid. Low intensity pulse ultrasound can be utilized in order to grow teeth from nothing. I'm talking about you don't have your whole tooth got pulled out. Low intensity pulse ultrasound can stimulate your body and your gums to generate the growth of teeth. I think it's called de novo would be the correct term, right? And look at the doctor behind it, Dr. Tariq L. Bayal. Looky. Look at that. I'm just saying, son, this is wild. Y'all need to look that up. All right. Let's go to the deer. All right. So we know 1776 is celebrated every July 4th. Well, on the eve of July 4th this year was the full buck moon. What is the full buck moon? This is where all the bucks start growing their new antlers in. All right. So it's a very strong deer. So this year, at the same time that the Independence Day was being celebrated, so were deer representing new growth, or rather a new world. And what are the antlers to a deer? It's the antenna. You know what I mean? And it's what they use to carry the sun in Mesoamerican as well as Native American symbology and mythology. When you see a group of deer, herd, they're known as an army of celestial stars fleeing east to west. Remember, whenever you saw the map on the movie, they were showing the East Coast. All right. Many Mesoamerican origin myths feature the deer, a creature modern day researchers pair with the sun. Okay. And you can see how the antlers grow. You could just put a sun right in there, right? With drought and with the vital need to end drought with the help of rain and lightning deity Tlaloc, right? So we know water was a huge symbol in this film over and over again. They was filling the tub up with water. You know, it was raining. They had the pool outside. They went to the beach, you know, just the blue everywhere. What else? When we first saw Danny, Kevin Bacon's character, when she went to the supermarket, he was stacking water, you know, so it was constantly water throughout. And then right before the noise attack took place, it sounded like thunder, you know, it sounded like thunder. Also, the deer represent in the Mayan and the Aztec calendar the seventh day sign. All right, the 7-day sign of the Aztec is known as the deer's head. All right, deer are seen as peaceful and not hostile creatures. So it was very interesting that, you know, how they used the deer in this movie were menacing. You know what I mean? You didn't know. It looked like it was one of the best ways to cinematically show something's about to pop off, because when you see deer, it gives you a sense of calmness. It gives you a sense of ease and peace, right? But nah, when you saw the deer in this movie, you didn't fear peace. You didn't feel peace. You didn't feel at ease at all. So that was real deep how they did that, you know? All right, so Red Sprite. Let me see if y'all still with me. Y'all still with me? Because I'm just going. How y'all doing, man? How y'all doing? Y'all rocking with your boy, man? Y'all rocking with your boy? Okay. Y'all rocking. All right. All right. So when the movie first starts, as well as when they show the eclipse and when they would show the sun rising and setting, they would constantly show as the sun started to go behind the earth, they would show this red glare. It's called a red sprite. They kept showing a red sprite, and what is a red sprite? A red sprite is called a transient luminous event. Even when the drone was coming in the distance, it looked like a red sprite. Its shape and everything, right? So it's a transient luminous event. So when we think about lightning and thunder, like I just spoke about with Talalak, with the symbolism of the deer, right? We know lightning to be the event that takes place, the phenomena that takes place between the clouds and the earth. Okay, but what about the phenomena that takes place between the clouds and the firmament? Because there's all types of events that happen in that space as well. And all of those transient luminous events, them TLEs, are named after supernatural beings. So red sprites, also known as red fairies, are a type of transient luminous event. All right. Primarily appearing as red flashes of light occurring above thunderstorms. They are part of a larger family of upper atmospheric phenomena linked to thunderstorm activity alongside blue jets and elves. So if you see this image over here, you got elves and halos, gigantic jets, blue jets, tendrils, sprites, pixies, gnomes, and blue starters, right? Right. So Bikini Kill, right? Bikini Kill, Bikini Atoll. Bikini Atoll is where they were testing all of the nuclear bombs that Oppenheimer made. So Oppenheimer came out this summer, right? And he made the bomb, right? So they were testing it out in the Pacific Ocean, over by the Pacific Islanders, the over by the Marshall Islands, and the name of the area is called Bikini Atoll. This is why in SpongeBob SquarePants you got Bikini Bottom, and Bikini Kill is showing you that they're doing that the same way that they're dropping bombs of radiation back in the day, right? They're dropping the bombs with what? With sound, because he got a record player on his chest. Right. So now they're killing with sound because that's what they did in the movie. That's why it's Bikini Kill. Right. Now, clay is just that. He's clay. Whatever affects him, he's molded by. He doesn't have a sense of his own. Right. He can be molded into whatever you want him to be. He's a husk of a man, no real substance. He has no direction, teaches media studies. He does not lead the house. Okay, household. Amanda leads the household because she's a man. Duh. She's a man. Duh. Right? She dictates vacation, sex, cigarettes, who comes in the house, and stated when they was playing Jenga, it is her job to make his life a living hell. Can't make this stuff up, man. Can't make this stuff up. Where am I? Now, hold on okay, yeah. So his name's Clay. Why is his name Clay? Let's dig into it. So by now, some of y'all should know that there was a QR code on the map. So when the emergency broadcast comes on in the middle of the night, when no one's down there, only when we're watching, right? Fourth wall being broken. This particular image makes it through real quick, and it says that there's a cyber attack across the country. Power outages reported along the East Coast. right? But right along the East Coast, I think this is like Kansas where it is, right? Or maybe that's Kentucky, you know? There's a QR code, and when you click on the QR code with your phone, it takes you to Mercer County.com, Lake Shawnee. And when you read about Lake Shawnee has a troubled history dating back to the 18th century. Mitchell Clay. What? Clay? It's a story about somebody named Clay. Mitchell Clay and his family settled here in the late 1700s, establishing a farm. There go that farm again, and raising 14 children. Tragedy struck in 1783 when Native Americans killed 2 of the Clay children and kidnapped Ezekiel, one of them, who was later burned at the stake. They killed 2 of his kids, took one of them, and burned him at the stake. Clay sought revenge and with other settlers killed several Native Americans. The Clay property gained attention in the 1920s when an amusement park owned by Snyder was built. However, the park experienced unfortunate incidents, including the death of a girl on the swings and a boy drowning in a pond. Eventually, the park was abandoned in 1966. Years later, during construction, human remains and Native American artifacts were discovered, indicating that the park was built on an ancient burial ground. The presence of children's skeletons raises questions about whether the Clay family was also affected by a curse. So this is going to follow the theme of the movie, the theme of America, period. How the land belongs to certain people who was already there. Some other people come in there, right? And then when the people want their land back, they're reluctant to give the land back. And I'm gonna show you how that happens exactly in this movie very shortly. But they even have something every October, right? Remember, that's Julia Roberts' birthday. That's when Matthew Perry died, and that's also when the trailer dropped for the film, right? And every October they got something called the Dark Festival at this location. And all the ghost hunters and the paranormal people, they all go here. So yeah, don't be surprised if they do a film on this next. So we're dealing with a situation right now where we had a hole in the corona of the sun the size of 60 Earths, and I called it the big vagina. It's like a big vagina opened up in the sun, right? But when I looked at it, I was like, yo, that looked like a scorpion. You know what I'm saying? That's the first thing I saw. I was like, that is a very distinct shape that is on the sun. So I said, yo, I need to just get a picture, a silhouette of a scorpion, and put it next to it just so I could see I'm not going crazy. And when I did, I got that joint, and I'm like, yo, bro, if that don't look like, bro, come on, son. And you know what's so interesting about it being Scorpion is the fact that Julia Roberts is a Scorpion. Ethan Hawke is also a Scorpio. Both of them are Scorpios in the movie, So I found that quite interesting right there, that Scorpio energy. All right. So of course they talking about the solar winds affecting, computers and, the internet, I day by day. And then at the same time on the 13th, what else happened? Mercury went retrograde, so we dealing with that whole energy of technology not being dependable right now. So we got that scene. One of the hardest scenes in the movie, bro, the Tesla car scene was no joke. It was all white cars too. I found that quite interesting. And this was another scene where you saw that Clay was not a man, because he was the one that was driving, right? And then she gets out and starts looking at the cars, and she realizes that these are all self-driving Teslas. And a car starts coming, and Clay like, oh snap, Here comes somebody, babe. Let's wave them down. Come on over, man. Maybe they know. And I'm just like, even if it is a person, what are they going to help you do? All these cars are crashed. There's nowhere to go. What is this person going to help you do? You're not thinking, bro. And she realizes that this is a car that has been hacked and it is about to kill them. So she takes the wheel. Okay. Julia takes the wheel. She takes the wheel, gets up in the car, and she's the one driving and gets them out of there. So, I'm thinking this got something to do with AI. All right. Because you got the drone, and you got the Tesla cars. When Danny was talking about the pamphlets in California, his friend was telling him in California, they was in Korean, right? On the West Coast, but on the East Coast, they was Arabic, you know what I mean? Because the West Coast is closer to Asia. On this side, we closer to the Middle East. So it only makes sense that whoever you in proximity to, that's your enemy, and then they talking about cyber attack, hackers, and then G.A. Scott was in cybersecurity. So it's all computed, And then right after the movie drops, all of a sudden, 2 million Tesla cars get recalled. You know what I'm saying? They said over the past year or whatever, since they've, rolled these out, there's been over 1,000 crashes that has taken place. So they pulling 2 million of them back, So this wasn't during the movie. This wasn't before the movie. This actually happened after the movie dropped and this scene was shown and everybody saw this. All of a sudden there's a recall. You know what I'm saying? Ain't that crazy? Now, even though they talking about it being I'm saying that it's AI and everything, one of the number one stories that's making its waves right now is China's cyber army infiltrating the US. So they talking about in Hawaii, they talking about on the West Coast, the water and other things are getting hacked and getting manipulated, and they putting it on China. So this also is something that has been coming out ever since the movie dropped as well. Usually with predictive programming films, it's like half a year later at the least, a year, 2 years later. Now it's like they dropped the movie and it's like, okay, it's coming out right away. So yeah, Mahala, who played Ruth, you know what I'm saying? Beautiful sister in the movie doing a thing, unapologetic, through the whole movie. The energy towards her in the film was like, shut up and be sexy, because she wasn't getting no respect from Julia Roberts. You know what I'm saying? Clay was kind of just quiet about it. You know what I'm saying? The father was being as respectful as he could, but pretty much wanted her to kind of calm down. But she was speaking from the gut. She was saying what needed to be said, but when she had that bikini on, right? And when she sat next to him and was like, yo, you ever had sex with any of your students? You know what I mean? That's when everybody was kind of chill with us. As long as she was sexy and sexualized, Ruth was all good. But any other time, she was being a pain. You know what I mean? And that's the real problem. Even when they were downstairs, she was like, yo, the son Archie up here taking pictures. He was taking photos of her on the phone and then tried to rub one off upstairs in the bedroom off her, right? Staring at her around the pool, and then she was even saying, yo, the father trying to dig up in me too, and she was like, yo, why are you allowing this to happen? And he was like, yo, this is just the right thing to do. And she was like, yo, that's the type of stuff gets you killed. Like, what are you talking about? How are we sleeping in the basement of our own house? Now she's an Aries. So you know Aries is war, Aries is Mars, Aries is red, all right? And she's born on the 6th too. You know what I'm saying? So 6 is sex, you know, 6 is carbon also. So she was really representing that power, that melanin power up in that movie. I know she was a little more fair-skinned than Mahershala was, you know, and some people thinking that the mother might have actually been white, but I don't think she was in the book, you know. And then she was very intuitive because she knew that the mother didn't make it before the father did. Like she could feel it. She felt the coldness, you know, and she knew. She even told Julia Roberts, when Julia Roberts was like, I don't want to scare my children because you know it's probably nothing. And she was like, oh nah, I disagree with that. It's definitely something. You know, every time everybody was saying they were hiding stuff from her on the real information, she was like, yo, why are you not telling me? I want to be in the know. And she represents this, you know, the new generation that's coming up, and they, you know, they unapologetic, they speak their mind and everything like that, as opposed to the civil rights crew. You know, so Tameri, which is now America, was originally populated, ran, you know, and facilitated by melanated people, indigenous people. Caucasians occupied our house like an Airbnb. And when we showed back up, okay, because, you know, our knee gave out, you know what I'm saying? Because stuff started going crazy. And when we showed back up, they was very reluctant to let us back in. The slave movies always show how humble the wives were when in actuality, they were always the most ruthless. I remember her name's Ruth. She ruthless up in this movie, but in a good way. You know, so this whole dynamic is a perfect example of this land and the fact that we were facilitators of this land and that the land was colonized. And when the indigenous people got their stuff together and wanted to establish themselves, they didn't even want to kick folks out, ransack nobody, roll on nobody. They just wanted to establish their villages, establish their cities, their business, their families, and thrive, right? They wouldn't let it. The same way that they rented this house as an Airbnb. They rented this property from this family. They show back up. And it's that Ruth had to keep reminding them, this is my dad's house. This is his house. This is his house. Because as Africa is known as the motherland, America is Patala. It's the fatherland. You know, so this is the fatherland over here. So it's interesting. She kept saying, this is my dad's land, my dad's house. This is his house, right? This is his house. And they wouldn't want to give him his house back. Perfect symbolism for the situation. And then on top of it, she was like, Philharmonic. Yeah, right. He's on the board of the Philharmonic, which is showing the dichotomy of the sound, where he got the Bikini Kill on his, like, kill music. He's Philharmonic and classical and jazz with the healing frequencies of music. Okay. And they're showing up in the tuxedo debonair. So they're in the position of being in a very affluent state in their lives, you know what I'm saying, as opposed to them being middle class or opposed to them being poor, you know what I mean, or being ratchet or hood or ghetto or whatever. No, these people are established and educated and beautiful and striking and well spoken. You know, so this is a very interesting dichotomy that they playing, showing the symbolism of how it is in America. All right. So, you know, that conversation with the cabal, you know what I mean? Listen, so blue is everywhere. So when you say the cabal, right? Cabal and Kabbalah. All right. So let's talk about the cabal first. So the cabal is the cube and the ball. And why is the cabal the cube and the ball? Because it's supposed to be a higher level of masonry, which is the compass and the square. So the compass represents what? Circles and curves, right? Circles and curves are feminine or feminine because a 9 is curved. And a square is masculine because it's lines and it's angles, and they make squares, which on a higher level becomes cubes. So cube ball is cabal. All right. So the cube and the ball are the three-dimensional application of the square and the compass of Freemasonry. The Kabbalah showcases both the angles and the spheres, both cube, square, and the curves and circles. Now, with the Kabbalah, it has two pillars on both sides, just like in Masonry with the Boaz and the Yakin. So the two pillars of mercy and severity. We see with the severity of Amanda and the ruthlessness of Ruth. They are severity. They are very severe energies in the movie. And G.H. Scott, very humble, very kind, very understanding, very agreeable. And Clay also being very agreeable and damn near feminine almost, you know what I mean? So they represent what? Mercy. So you have the severity side with the women and you have the mercy side with the males. They were in Long Island, New York, which represents York Rite, which are the Royal Arch Masons, hence why Clay's son's name is Archie, right? And GH's last name is Scott, as in Scottish Rite, right? Scottish Rite. A lot of blue in the house, all right? So the blue and the blue lights and all of that stuff comes from what? Comes from the Scottish Rite. The York Rite is the red color. The blue is the Scottish Rite's color. Democrats are blue. Deep state is blue. Facebook is blue. Blue light toxicity, that blue light blockers, what I've been talking about, right? The play of racism shows the Civil War, right? Which they just showed the trailer for Civil War, which looks like it's a direct sequel to this film because the film leaves you with a cliffhanger. Even GH said, "Oh man, I didn't think this was going to happen, but this is what it looks like it's going to be. It's the 3 stages." You know what I'm saying? Where you cut everybody off from stuff, then everything is like confusion and turning on each other, and then the third one is the Civil War. And it's funny because they have a movie in the spring called Civil War, and they're showing exactly that. But the play of racism shows a civil war of black and white, just like on the chessboard, right? In terms of what you see in the Masonic temples on the floors, and literally with the families and Danny and GH standing off. Yeah, Danny, Kevin Bacon, had the higher ground, just like Higher Ground Productions, which is the production company that the Obamas own that were behind this film. All right. Yeah. So just to let you know, with the blue, red and the blue. All right. The blue pill was the one that, the blue pill, that's the one you take, you go to sleep, stay in the matrix, right? So this is the one I don't know if too many of y'all know about. So, it's enough. Matthew Perry died on a birthday, and they were dated, and they also had a scene together in Friends, But did y'all know that Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott King paid for Julia Roberts' birth? Huh? I'm gonna let that marinate while I drink this water. I'm gonna say that again. The irony of Julia Roberts' character Amanda looking at Mahershala Ali and Ruth talking about this is your house, this is really your house. This is not their house. I don't even know. He probably ripped open the door to get that $1,000 out. Right? And in all actuality, her family couldn't afford the hospital bill. So Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott King paid the bill for him? Huh? So You can't make some of this stuff up, man. You can't make some of this stuff up. All right, let's keep going. All right, so when the drone was dropping all of the flyers out, um, it had all that writing on the back, and it said, "We ask you pay immediate attention to what we say in this publication. We have the most dangerous and destructive explosions in history, and we leave this horrific fact for you to contemplate and stress the validity of what is said. I'm using this on your land, and steps must be taken to stop the resistance built for peaceful surrender of your land." Right? And when you see this symbol, what is that a symbol of? This is representation of the new year that's coming up in February. February is when the Chinese New Year starts. February is also when the next Super Bowl is, right? And remember, the Friends episode was called The One After the Super Bowl. That's the name of the episode with her and Chandler, right? And this year is the year of the dragon. The year of the dragon. And dragon years ain't no joke. Chinese repeat their signs every 12 years. So what was 12 years before 2024? 2012. What was 12 years before 2012? The year 2000. What was 12 years before the year 2000? 1988. You know what I'm saying? And what was before that? What was that? 78, 76? 19, and there go that 76 back again. So we know 88 was harmonic convergence. It was hip hop expansion. It was a lot of stuff going on in that year 88. We know what the year 2000 was. We know what 2012 was. You know what I mean? So dragging years are no joke, and we already know what that symbol mean, All right. So when few things. So, GH Ruth was like, Ruth was treated like wrong in the movie, man. She was just only speaking facts, and she just wanted her father. She wanted a black man to be there for her, to protect her, to stand there by her side. And he was composed, he was calculated, he was very measured with his executions, but at the same time, he was a little too civil rights with that thing. And he left her, there at the house with Amanda to take Clay and Clay's son to Kevin Bacon to get him medicine. You know what I'm saying? And she's like, yo, how you just going to leave me? There's real stuff happening right now. This is going on. This is happening right now. We are in it. Do not abandon me. Do you understand? This is not when you split up. We are not going to see each other again. You're not going to come back. And even though it's inferred that they do all link back up at the end of the movie, you know what I'm saying? In all actuality, when the alarm went off, they were not back together. And when the movie ended, they were not back. Visually, based on what we saw, they were not back together. Okay. Amanda was with Ruth, and GH was with Clay and Archie in the car. And it's deep because when he was talking about the deep state, and he talked about meeting with the rest of your when you talk about the cabal, meeting with the rest of your evil folks that take over the world on the solstice, the winter solstice, on the car he drove on, it said 1222 on the car. 1222 is the solstice. This year it's on the 21st, I believe, but usually every year falls on the 22nd. So it says 1222 on the car, winter solstice. You know what I'm saying? And then he stuck and then it's the winter solstice, you know what I'm saying, in that conversation, So we got to look at what the empowerment and everything that happens during that time as well. So we move forward. Everybody's looking for Rose. Rose tells the story about the guy not wanting to take any help. He was waiting for God. He found out on the radio, he lived by a river. He found out on the radio the river was flooded and that he was gonna the city was gonna get flooded. And he heard it on the radio and he prayed to God, said, God, come get me. A boat came by to try and save him. He said, nah, I'm good. God's about to come get me. Helicopter came after that. The water's getting crazy. You about to die out in here, bro. Come on, man, let's go. Nah, man, I pray to God, God's gonna come get me. And then it flooded. He drowned. He dies. He's in front of God. He's like, God, what's the deal, son? I was praying for you. I was waiting for you. Why did you abandon me? He was like, what are you talking about? I put it on the radio. I sent you a boat and I sent you a helicopter. What else you want from me? So she was like, I've been seeing all the signs. I'm tired of waiting. I'm going to go. So she dipped. You know what I mean? And where she dipped is to a residence. The residence name was Thorns, and the residence that GH went to get the satellite phone where he saw the plane crash and everything like that was called Huxley, because Aldous Huxley wrote the book Brave New World about a dystopian future similar to 1984. And a lot of the symbolism in his film is based on this book, Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. So Huxley was the residence. The sign was kind of hanging, you know what I mean? And then the house that she went to name was Thorns, because when she goes in the house, the first thing you notice with this big giant house is that it has a red door. And why does it have a red door? It has a red door because it's representing Passover. You see what I'm saying? Because in Passover, right, as you hang the red cloth that represents the blood, right, this is what they do in Passover. You remind your family that each time they walk through to see it, they can be visually reminded that just as the Israelites were redeemed when the blood of the lamb allowed death to pass over their home, that we are redeemed by the blood of the lamb, Yeshua, who allowed eternal death to pass over us. So that was symbolism of them avoiding whatever is going on by her being in this house that had the red door or the blood over the door. Okay, so she goes in there, and first thing we see is she's eating all the junk food, but over her there's a painting that got like slaves on it, and that's just to show that her first thing was junk food. Like she was eating just all the trash and just being gluttonous, just tearing it all up all on her own. And she didn't even have access to the home. She had to break through the window to get up in there. Then she goes downstairs, and because she notices the bunker, and they got plants, right? Fresh plants growing, thriving. They got exercise room. They got water. You know what I'm saying? They got a pantry, right? They got books, right? They got everything up in there except, natural sunlight, but they probably got something for that too down there. Who knows, right? But she bypasses all that, and she sees the DVD collection, and she grabs the Friends, and she pops it in because she's been wanting to see this episode, and she gets bathed in the blue light. Ooh, that dopamine. As everyone ignores the sign, she ignores the gift. As she finds shelter, plant, life, pantry, exercise equipment, she bypasses all of them for entertainment. The last one, which is interesting because Matthew Perry was the last one casted on the show. Ironically, her name is Rose, which is red, showing her generation is the last one giving up light for the blue light. Yeah, man.
KT, man, I don't know how you do this, man.
What you talking about?
This Decoded, man.
Hey, man, listen. It's more than that. I bet you I didn't cover everything. Wow. I just gave y'all a little taste, man.
Man, well, I definitely appreciate it, brother. I definitely appreciate it. Wait, hold on. How do I
Oh, I stopped screen.
Okay,
Yeah.
you gotta do that. Yeah, man. But this movie has everybody talking, KT. Everybody talking. Um, in terms of the Obamas, I asked BDell this, and I'm gonna ask you.
Mm-hmm.
Comedians, I'm very interested in getting your opinion. Comedians have said for years that when a black man become president, it's going to be the end of the world. It's going to be a wrap. When Obama became president, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
everybody, the world, it was pure chaos. That's when all the police killings broke out, and a lot of shit started happening.
That's right.
Why is it that when a black man came to office, everybody's talking about the end of the world? And now the black man produces a film and is talking about the end of the world. I'm trying to figure out the connection
Well,
between this
he,
black authority and the end of the world, KT.
well, it's not. Well, the whole Black Authority took place because remember we just got out of let's not forget who was right before him. Now we was dealing with Bush.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we was dealing with 9/11, Halliburton. Let's not forget about what was popping off in the millennia, bro. Like it was crazy. So it was like world leaders in the world at whole was just like the United States was trash based on what Bush was on. So they was like, yo, we need a pretty face. We need to switch it up. So he was like, he was utilized as just this new turn. It was there to garner, to get all the black people on their side, or melanated people and people across. And how did people went crazy over this man? You know what I'm saying? When he came into office. But we should have known because he was a Democrat. We should have known. He rocking with the blue. You know what I'm saying? And we ain't when it comes to politics, when it comes to government, rather, we were never no Democrats, bro. We was always Republicans.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We always been, everything that we've always been on throughout history has always reflected Republican. There's no democracy. Like nobody messes with democracy. They don't mess with the demos. So he only came through because the way Republicans rock is Republicans be like, okay, yeah, I'm evil and this is what I'm gonna do to y'all. Right? Gives you the heads up. This is who I am. This is what I'm about to do. You know what I'm saying? Democrats is like, oh no, I'm just a cute little bunny. I'll never harm you. You know what I'm saying? And then they give you a plate of food and it's all rat poison. And then when everybody die, they just over you like this. You know what I'm saying? So that's how Democrats get down. And he was just that ultimate bunny. Now I'm not gonna get into Obama come on, man. For those of y'all that do y'all research, y'all know who that cat is, and y'all know who that person is next to his side either. I ain't about to get on him. That ain't no her. That's a whole nother story.
You going there with it.
But yeah, nah. He tore his country up. You know what I'm saying? And it was a lot of cleanup that was needed to be done. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't surprised that he came out with this. You know what I'm saying? At all. This is really no surprise. So a lot of people was like, oh man, the Obamas is behind it. And I was like, oh wow, they actually did the film. But after I found out, it was like, I wasn't like shocked. I was like, okay, like why wouldn't they? Like we know the CIA manipulate scripts. We know that the alphabet folks manipulate all of these movies and put all this information in there, and reshoots and rewriting and all that type of stuff happens. So now they're just being more forward. They're like, okay, not only are we doing it, but look, we got a whole ex-president doing it. You know what I'm saying? To put it on in there. And then Civil War. Did you see the Civil War trailer?
Yeah, man. Crazy.
When you listen, when everybody watches the they leave the world behind, and then you look at the trailer of the Civil War, you like, come on, bro. Like that. Yeah.
Amazing. Let me I'm gonna take a question from the chat before we get out of here. Oh man, what a night. Started out with BDell. KT came in with the dynamic presentation. Absolutely magnificent day. Once again, family, don't forget that 50% off sale KT is having on the websites.
Starting Wednesday the 20th.
Starting Wednesday. And when does it end, KT?
It'll be for the week. It'll be throughout that week.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody wants to know, KT, can you touch on the flamingos all the way up?
The flamingos. So they were talking about how the different animals are that because of the frequencies and everything changing, and then threw the animals navigation off.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So normally, flamingos, they'll fly to certain location. They don't stay in one location. They fly to different locations over time. And they ended up flying in that direction. Why they landed in that pond, flamingos definitely have their own symbolism. What it is, I know it's a deeper reason. I don't know what that deeper reason is, but I just know it to be that they're part of the animals getting taken off their natural path, and then it landing, right in front of them like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Somebody said, why the melanin music on the movie?
Why the melanin music on the movie? I guess they talk because I know Joey Badass opened the movie up. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the whole movie was black. It was, it was about us. You know what I'm saying? Through the whole film, and then, of course, there's the scene where GH and Julia Roberts was dancing to Next. Well, I can't even say Julia Roberts was dancing. Julia Roberts was having an aneurysm or having an epileptic seizure. I don't know what the hell she was doing, but Mahershala was doing the two-step, trying to get her to catch the groove. She just could not catch that groove, bro, for nothing.
Man, let's get to another question. I just seen one that I want to ask you. Oh man, now I can't find it. This chat moving so fast. The 96 tattoo on Ruth's left shoulder. That's what they asked it about. A couple of people. What did it symbolize?
That might be a real tattoo she got. That might be a real tattoo. But remember, I said she's a 6. That's her. She's born on the 6. She represents that energy anyway. 6 is carbon, 9 ether. So I was talking about the two, the Yakin and the Boaz, the male and the female energy. So the 6, 6 is male, 9 is female. So yeah.
All right, let's see if I see another one. They said, KT, that wasn't a taste, that was a feast. They said,
I appreciate it. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it.
That is facts. That is truly facts. Last question from the people, KT. Can you explain the Statue of Liberty being upside down on the flyer?
Well, yeah, the if that means liberty, statue is supposed to mean liberty, you know what I mean? And it also welcomes this is where all of the immigrants was coming, right? So it was welcoming everybody in the country. So if you flip it upside down, then it's going to be the opposite of liberty. It ain't no liberty, because we can agree to that. Like, where's the liberation at, right? And then the fact that we don't like people building a wall, right? So we don't want no one in, we don't want no one to get out. And then with them talking about the Sinister Six, pretty much like think of America like Spider-Man, and all these other countries are like Dr. Octopus, the Rhino, Electro coming together trying to get Spider-Man, where America would normally be letting people in, right? Now they like, nah, you ain't gonna want us to come in, so we have to kick the door in and take this thing. So it's just the opposite of what the Statue of Liberty stands for. It represents the energy of Diana. It represents the energy of Sirius. It has the torch for illumination, so there's a lot of different meanings when it comes to the Statue of Liberty. So when you have it upside down, then that negates whatever those meanings are, and it's going to be the opposite. Yeah,
indeed, man. KT, man,
death to liberty.
I want to thank you so much for coming on here and breaking this down, KT. We about to go into 2024. We actually got the fast coming up at the top of 2024.
Yeah. We're gonna get people right as this because so guess when Mercury turns back direct, Rich?
When?
January 1st.
Ooh,
When has that ever happened?
Ooh, very
Huh?
interesting. Wow.
How did that line up like that?
Yeah, man. Wow.
You know?
Wow.
So we in the 24 hours a day. That's that 6. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then Mercury going direct on the 1st.
Mhm.
You know, so yeah, we definitely got to do the fast because everything is going to be cracking. The shadow's going to last, I think, about 8 days or something like that. So, you know, when you get into like the 9th or something like that, that's when it's really going to start moving again. And this 24 is going to feel like a season. Watch. It's going to feel like 3 months went by.
Wow. It's going to go by that fast, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Man, oh man. Hey, KT, one more time, leave the people any information that you want to leave them for them to get your.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So, yeah, soionicbotanicals.com. You know, Rich will have it in the description. That's the website. Like I said, sites, the sale starts next Wednesday, 12/20, just to give y'all a heads up on that now. I'm on IG under KT the Arch Degree, Facebook, TikTok, and I have Patreon as well. And what else we got coming? Yeah, got some good content, got some good videos on the way. And I have a big event. It's Empower 2024 in January, the 15th and the 16th, out in Denver, Colorado. Queen Afua, 19 Keys, Mike Rashid, and a host of others are going to be there. I'm speaking, I'm doing a panel, I'm doing a workshop, got a table. So for those of y'all in the Denver area, the surrounding area, anybody who wants to fly in, I'm going to have the event link on my site, the Eventbrite link for y'all to get tickets, but it's Empowerment 2024. You can find it on IG. You can message me for further information, but that's where I'm going to be speaking at next, and I'm gonna do a real good event. I'm gonna be talking essentially about how our bodies are being hacked.
Ooh. By who, KT? By who?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. How, like, the movie talking about hacking and everything, and they talking about hacking the system and the grid. How about hacking your body and hacking your mind? And I'm going to be breaking down the actual ISBN and URL of your body.
Damn, bro. Shit. Man, I look forward to that, my brother. Keep up the good work. Family, I want to thank we still got 3,000 people in the building. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. I know y'all definitely enjoyed tonight's show. With that being said, this is Brother Rich, KT the Arch Degree. Shout out to BDell, who started everything out tonight.
Big shout out to the brother. Thank you very much. I know he, like, whatever I didn't touch on, I know he got it and then some. So y'all got it all. I think between the two of us, they ain't no stone unturned.
Indeed. All right, family. I'll see you next time, family. Peace.
Peace.
Yes.